One of the fears that comes up with a lot of parents I talk to is this question of what if I'm losing them? It's like moms will tell me, I just want to do it right. And when they see their kid come home from school and just walk by them without talking, right? We get worried. Of course we do. Or if they go to their room and close their door and don't come out and don't talk to us about what's going on, right? We get scared, we get worried, and we're afraid that something's terribly wrong and that we might be losing them. And so if you've ever felt this, just know you are not alone, right? And you're not failing, because your job as a parent, it hasn't ended now that your kid's a teenager. It's just changed. So let's talk a little bit about what your job isn't anymore and then what your job is. I think this really will help you as you're parenting your teenager. So the first thing that it is not anymore is it is not our job to prevent every mistake that happens, right? It's not our job to fix everything. And I know it's really hard to resist doing this because honestly, that was our job when they were younger in a lot of respects. But now that they're teenagers, right, they're trying to exert their independence. And so I'm sure you'll find that when you jump in and you try to fix every mistake or prevent it from happening, you get a lot of pushback, maybe a lot of attitude or disrespect. And so that's an indication to you to tell yourself, okay, this is not my job anymore. My teen is telling me that they want to fix their own problems, and of course I can still guide them and be there as a support system, but they need to lead the way, not me. It's also not our job to keep the peace at all costs. I see this happening a lot for those parents who just have a really low tolerance for conflict in the house, right? A lot of that stems from how we were raised. Did we learn how to tolerate tense discussions and conflict? Or do we avoid them like the plague, right? Either by not talking about what we're concerned about or what's on our heart, or if there is a problem, they can't get off their phones, you just avoid the conversation because you don't want to experience the conflict, and instead you prioritize keeping the peace, right? That is not our job anymore as well. I want you to remember, you're not here to control your teenager's journey, right? We are here to guide them, to mentor them, to teach them, to love them without any sort of conditions or sarcasm leaking into our conversations, right? We're just here to love them, have compassion for them, because as far as they know, their life is really hard being a teenager. And so we want to show up and have the most compassion that we can as possible while also keeping our high standards. Our job is to show up even when they're being butts. And it's really hard. And we don't feel like doing it anymore because maybe they're being rude or disrespectful. It's still our job to show up, right? So let's dive in a little bit and talk about, so what is your job now that your child's a teenager? First and foremost, we want to be a mom or a dad that our kid feels comfortable talking to and feels safe coming to us, right? Even when they mess up, even when they don't know what they did was wrong, right? We want to create a situation and a relationship with them where they feel like they can come to you and tell you anything, right? So in coach language, this is called creating emotional safety. And let me just say, a lot of us didn't have that growing up. A lot of our parents, right, really tried to exert their power over us or tried to control us, and we would feel ashamed of our behavior. We'd feel like they were disappointed in us. And think about that, like that felt awful. We don't want to do that to our kids and pass that on, right? We want to break that and just know that, listen, you can keep your standards, right? You can keep your high standards and what you expect from them, or while you're also being compassionate, right? So we want to eliminate like any judgment or sarcasm from our conversations with our kids and really focus on creating a relationship with them where they feel safe coming and talking to you about anything. Listen, I know you want to help them. This is how you can help them. If you want to like continue to be in their lives and teach them and guide them and mentor them, they have to feel safe coming and talking to you and sharing with you what's really going on. So that's first and foremost. The second thing that is your job now is to lead, like be the parent, be the leader, but lead feeling calm, right? With this calm authority and not falling back on controlling them. Now, again, this is really hard to do, but it's a game changer, you guys. When you can hold your boundaries with strength and at the same time, warmth and compassion, it's the secret sauce. Firm boundaries with compassion. That is what will change what's going on in your home right now, where you can still help them make good choices, where they're still coming to you to share things, and we're helping them be the best version of themselves. Listen, these boundaries, these limits are important. Our teenagers need this. They need a form of structure where they feel like, they're going to test the waters and they need to know that you're there like as the guidepost, as the light post, steering them in the background, like in the direction and holding those standards while they go and try different things. Okay, so I want you to remember that your job is to lead with calm authority, not control, right? Firm boundaries with a big dose of compassion, right? What I mean by that is, let's say that they want to go to a party and you don't think it's safe. You can have a conversation around that and you can connect with them around their desire to go to their party and their disappointment that they're not going to be going this time. It doesn't mean they're not going every time, but for now, right, they're not going this time. So you can hold your boundaries, but still like realize that of course they're going to be disappointed. Of course they're going to be angry. And that's okay. I can have compassion for the fact that they're frustrated and they're angry while still holding to what I know to be safe for them. Okay, third, I want you guys to really focus on staying curious instead of like emotionally reacting or getting triggered by them. I want you to remember that sometimes when they're rude or disrespectful or they roll their eyes, it's not about their intention of being disrespectful to you. No. It usually comes out because they're overwhelmed by something, right? Maybe they're overwhelmed because their friend group shunned them, or maybe they're overwhelmed because they did poorly on a test and they're too scared to talk to you or the teacher about it. Usually, what's happening is they're feeling overwhelmed, and then what occurs and what we see is sometimes the eye roll or the you don't get it or something that might feel disrespectful. And so I want you to stay curious instead of reacting to what feels like the disrespect, right? And be like, hey, what's going on, right? Like let's assume positive intent that they don't intend to be a jerk. Also, I want you to remember that silence isn't rejection. Now, I know this is hard for a lot of us who have these really strong connections when our kids were younger and there were lots of conversations going on. But now that they're teenagers, it hurts, and I know we get upset when they stop talking to us. But when that happens, we get desperate and want to talk more. So I want you to tell yourself that their silence doesn't mean that they're rejecting me, right? It's really just them not knowing how to open up. Or maybe they just need to take a minute to process what is going on, at school or with a friend. And I want you to think about, I think we all know, right? We all learned when our kids were young that they are little mimics and they do what we do, right? And whatever our actions are, they follow them. And just to remember that, now that they're teenagers, right? That we really want to model what it's like to be human, right? That you don't need to be perfect. They just need to see how, when you do make a mistake, how you own it, how you take responsibility, and how you repair it. This is a beautiful lesson for them to learn that they need for now and for many years to come. Right? So you want to model how to keep showing up with love even after a really tough moment that maybe you had between the two of you. And then you really want to honor their growing independence. Right? We know as teenagers, they're trying to establish their independence. They're assert that their status, that they know what they're doing. And so we just want to honor that and realize that they're growing and learning. And we want to just appreciate that without completely disappearing. Right? We might not be the driver anymore, but you're still riding shotgun. They still need you, just in a different way, right? They need you more in the back seat, not in the driver's seat, because they're trying to figure things out for themselves, and they still need you there. They do, even if it doesn't feel like it all the time. And then last but not least, they really need you to believe in who they're becoming, even when they can't see it yet, and especially when you can't see it yet. Right? I want you to take yourself to a place of recognizing that all their strengths and all their good character traits, right, will pay off in the long run and will help them. So notice the quiet effort that they're making, the little sparks of kindness that you see, and tell them that you notice it and that you see it. Right? It's about walking alongside them with trust, with compassion, with strength. Right? And when you do this, instead of you fearing you're going to lose them and you have that knot in your stomach when they walk through the door, right? You feel steady and grounded. And when something big happens in their world, or when they're struggling with something, you're the one they come to. Right? Because this time with our kids, it can be beautiful and tender. And yes, it is complicated. And I want you to know you don't have to figure this out alone. So if you're wondering what your role is now, or just feeling a little more distant than you'd want, I'd love to hear what's on your heart. Reach out to me and let's talk. All right, have a great day.